Hi, this is the Magnificent Midlife podcast, and I'm Rachel Lancaster. This is where we celebrate women in midlife and beyond. We challenge the status quo and bash those negative stereotypes about being an older woman. We're not over the hill at 40, 50, 60. We're just getting started, and the world needs us now more than ever. I'll be talking all things midlife, about issues that matter, and sharing fabulous stories of amazing women doing very cool stuff. Now is our time. My guest today is Elaine Reynolds, and Elaine is a master personal trainer and yoga teacher. She teaches women over 50 to not give up or give in with the crazy things happening to our bodies. She had an epiphany at 50 and bought a one-way ticket to Bali, where she lives now. Welcome, Elaine.
Oh, thank you. And thank you for the nice intro.
I've never interviewed somebody in Bali before. So my first question is, what's it like being an expat in Bali?
I love it. I love it. I've been wanting to be an expat for years. And I guess even, maybe 20 years ago, I could never figure out how I could make it happen. So sometimes your dreams take a long time to actually come to fruition. But I love it. I don't think it's for everyone. I think if you like lots of rules, it's probably quite a tough place to live because the rules are quite fluid here. But yeah, and it's not perfect. I don't think there's anywhere perfect in the world, but it ticks all the boxes for me. I get to sit around in a sarong most days, barefoot in a sarong, so it's perfect.
That sounds rather nice. Yeah. I like the heat. I'm a big heat fan, me.
Yeah, there's something about it, isn't there?
Yeah. What do you most love about it?
Probably, so many things, but food. You're really battling to find great food like this anywhere else in the world. And now I used to, when I lived in Australia, I'd always go on a holiday and straight away come back and be planning another holiday. Since I've lived here, I'm always like, but what's the food going to be like if I go there? And the culture, it's a heavily cultured island, which I love, and which makes it really interesting. And just to be surrounded by green, the jungles and the rice paddies, and sort of growing up in New Zealand, I always loved that green. Then living in Australia for a long period of time, it's dry. And I always just wanted to end up somewhere where it's lush and green again. So, yeah, ticks a lot of the boxes here.
Interesting. Yeah, I like green. I used to live in New York, and I lived in Manhattan, and the only bit of green in Manhattan is Central Park, and there's nothing else.
Yeah.
And I really miss the green spaces of London, because people who don't know London, London's actually a really green city.
Green. Yeah.
There are lots and lots of parks, the Victorians and Edwardians. They knew that people needed green spaces. So there's a lot of green. Of course, it's very wet.
Yeah. Well, same here. We, to get that green, you have to have the rain. But
Yes,
the thing is, with the rain here, it's always warm. So it's not so bad. Whereas in New Zealand, it was always cold. So, yeah. But personally, I'd rather have the rain and the green than the dry and the sun, So,
yeah, you got to work out what works for you, haven't you? But so you talked about rules being rather fluid. What most annoys you about where you are?
To be honest, it's the rubbish. They do have a problem with plastic here, and they are doing a lot now. And there's a lot of initiatives here, and a lot of people doing some great things, but it's a generational thing. I think 40, 50 years ago, everything was wrapped in maybe a banana leaf or something. Now it's plastic, and so years ago they used to just throw the banana leaf away, but that doesn't happen anymore. So people still throw the rubbish in the rivers and throw the rubbish here and throw the rubbish there. So yeah, it is changing, but I think it'll take a long time. And I guess it's a worldwide problem, really, isn't it? Plastic in our rivers
isn't it?
And the sea. It's heartbreaking, really. So I think that, and you have to sort of turn a blind eye to it sometimes. Otherwise, you spend the whole time annoyed. So, sometimes it's selective seeing when you live somewhere. If you focus on the negatives, well, it doesn't do much for your day, does it?
It's such a shame, though, and everybody's responsible all the way along the product chain, aren't they? Because the products that are being sold in places like Bali. I mean, I remember in other places that I've been to in Southeast Asia, they sell like shampoo in single sachets, don't they? And
Yeah,
then
yeah,
you've got all
yeah.
those sachets all over the place, or washing powder, and that facilitates people being able to buy it. But then you've got even more waste, haven't you? Because you've got these individual sachets of shampoo or body
Absolutely.
lotion or sun cream or washing powder, whatever it might be.
Yeah, there's a couple of guys here that set up these like floats in all the rivers, and they're like barriers, and they
I've read
actually,
about those.
yeah, they actually physically get in with people, and they take all the rubbish out, and then they take all the rubbish to these massive warehouses, and they individually scan each piece, the barcode. It's a massive task,
Oh my
and then
goodness.
and then they contact the company, like I won't name any companies, whoever they are, and say, look, can you repackage this in a different way? Because this is what we found. We found, 5 million of these and 10 million of these. So
Wow.
it's a fantastic process. I just take my hands off to these guys. And I think they can do it here because the labour's quite cheap. Because you see these guys get into these rivers with these, big sort of gumboot waders on and all this filth, just taking the rubbish out bit by bit. So, I think it will change. But like anything on this planet, it's, going to take a long time.
Wow, that is an amazing initiative, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah, it's very cool.
Anyway, so we're here to talk about more about your life and your passion for fitness. And you are passionate about helping older women especially to stay fit. So how did that come about?
Well, actually, I've always been into some type of sports or fitness. And when I was 37, I started going out with a personal trainer who turned out to be a complete nut job. But during my time with him, I sort of looked at his lifestyle, not his life, but his lifestyle of the trainer, and I thought, oh, God, I'd love to do that. So after 6 months of pure craziness and a restraining order, I became a master personal trainer. I mean, I can look back on it now and laugh, but at the time, obviously, it wasn't so funny. But it's like anything in your life, you think, oh, what the hell was that all about? So out of something really crappy came something really good. And then I guess really when I sort of hit, I think 50, and I had an epiphany. I was in Sri Lanka staying at this beautiful house on the beach. I thought, what am I doing with my life? I've always wanted to be an expat, and for probably 7 years I'd wanted to take my one-on-one business and turn it into an online one. So that's when I decided, sold everything. Within 6 months I ended up here. And mostly through my training, I've always trained older women. And, I'm 58, so I wanted to target women in this age bracket because I understand what happens when you suddenly start going through perimenopause and your hormones start going crazy and you think, is this it? What's happening? So I started fine-tuning my training for women over 50.
And what are some of the issues that you find that we're grappling with?
Well, I've surveyed nearly 2,000 women, and I would say the common thread is that what they've been doing for years is just not working anymore, which I totally get because when I hit perimenopause, nothing I was doing was working either. I was a trainer teaching other people how to be fit and strong, and I really felt like an imposter for quite a while because none of my tricks worked. I was putting on weight, I was bloated, tired and sore. And, I'd started running again. I hadn't run for years, started doing plyometric jumps, tweaked my eating.
Hang on, what's that? What's a whatever it is jump?
Plyometric jumps. Jumping, how do I explain it? Not under pressure, but you're jumping onto boxes or jumping high.
Oh,
Jumping
okay,
on
jumping up to a height.
to height, yeah. And jumping down again, you know.
But okay, jumping
in a
onto
sequence.
something like a block. Okay.
Onto something, yeah.
Yes, I get it.
I tried all the stuff that always worked for me and nothing worked. And I did. I really had a moment of thinking, well, maybe this is just it, you know, life in my new menopausal body. But I guess the trainer sort of kicked in and I realized I knew what my body needed, but I just had to work out a different way of delivering it. So that is the main thing I get when I've surveyed women, is that what they've been doing is just not working anymore, you know?
I think that's absolutely, fascinating and so reflects my experience. But we go into perimenopause fighting it, don't we?
Absolutely.
We want everything to stay the same, whereas actually this is as big an evolution as going from, being a child to being a woman through puberty.
It's puberty. It's the same, isn't
yeah.
it? Yeah.
But we don't want it because we've been told it's bad. And we keep doing the same thing because we don't want change either, do
No.
we? We like what we've got. Whereas I think if we can just embrace the difference, that's where the magic can happen, isn't it? I think this is really
Absolutely.
Cool.
Yeah, I mean, puberty. Do you want to go through puberty? Well, not really. Puberty was hell for me. But it's part of the process and you'll get out the other side. And because you're younger, your body obviously gets through it easier. But when we hit menopause, which is just a normal, natural thing, they just, even like 10, 15 years ago, there just wasn't anything out there about it, like when I was going through it. That's why I thought, well, maybe this is it, because there really wasn't any information out there about it. So, I agree with you. You have to accept it. It's okay. It's okay. And when you accept it, then you can look at things a bit clearer and make some decisions and make some changes. Because, we're all going through stuff. It's not just, it's not just one of us, is it?
Do I know I've had to evolve my fitness completely? And at the moment, I'm grappling with a dodgy knee. And I don't.
A dodgy knee.
A dodgy knee. And I'm a runner and I love to run and I can't run. And we're recording this at the end of September and I haven't run since June. I hate it.
Yeah,
I hate it. And
I bet.
I've got myself an exercise bike so I can do that without putting pressure on my knee. And I think I probably should have done that years ago. But I'm still waiting to find out what I've done to it. I've got to have an MRI and I've got to see the consultant. National Health Service. I love you, National Health Service. But this is taking rather a long time. And I'm sort of hanging on in there waiting.
Well, cycling is excellent. Cycling is excellent if you've got knee issues.
Yeah.
Excellent.
I don't trust myself on a bike because I think when I come to a stop, I might fall over because my knee might give way, So, it's very interesting that I've, Ashton Applewhite, the anti-ageism activist, introduced me to the idea of not blaming everything on age as well, because she would say, well, people would say, oh, I'm at that age where my knee's hurting. And she would say, well, yes, but your other knee isn't hurting. So it's not necessarily age that's doing it. And I'm convinced that I have an imbalance. I have created this issue, and yet it's got worse because I'm a bit older, because my body can't do what it used to do. But actually, it's not age that has created the issue in my knee. I may yet be proved wrong. My MRI may tell me something different. And I believe that the body tries to talk to us through giving us pains and symptoms.
Absolutely.
And that we would do well to listen.
Absolutely. I think this is my view on it. All the crap you put your body through in your 20s, 30s, 40s that you thought you were getting away with, when you get into this age bracket, that's when it starts to go, oh, hello, So I agree with you. naturally we are aging and our joints are getting weaker and our organs, that's normal. But those real problems started, I think, years ago.
I do too.
Structurally, how you sit, how you stand, how you walk, the shoes, it's all a build-up. So, yeah, I agree with that. Totally.
So what does work for us now? I mean, obviously we're all different, but what are the things you see women trying to do that actually they can't do anymore in the way they're doing it, or they need to do it in a different way? What are the key things that you focus on?
Well, I don't think there's one style of training that's right for everyone. Like some people will love my style of training and some people won't. So I think the most important thing is to don't give up. You've got to keep trying. But like you said before, it's your body is telling you something. It's time to just tweak things and maybe look at things in a different way. And it doesn't mean to say, you can't still challenge your body and, push your body, but you just have to look at it in a different light. And I really think if people started to look at it like, okay, our joints are aging. That is just a fact. You need to work the stabilising muscles around those joints to keep them strong, because you want to give them as much support as you can as we get older. It doesn't mean to say you're never going to have a problem, but if the stabilising muscles are strong and flexible, it's so much easier to recover from something. Or if you do get an injury, and we all know injuries take a lot longer in this age bracket to heal, it cannot be such a devastating occurrence, So I would just really think about changing your focus on how you train. You want to use movements that mimic your day-to-day life, and use movements that are going to really lengthen your body as well as strengthen it.
Like what then? So how do we lengthen our bodies?
You hop onto my grab one of my freebies. I really like using dynamic movements, and I use a mixture of yoga, power yoga, barre, pilates, functional strength training, and low impact cardio moves. And all my workouts are done in a bit of a flow. So we flow from one exercise to another. And I still use weights. I'm a big believer that you need to lift weights in this age bracket. But if you think of your exercises as, you're strengthening the muscles, but you're also lengthening in all your movements. Everything's long. You want to keep lengthening your spine.
Because we naturally collapse, don't we, as we age as well? Our spine collapses.
Yes.
We get shorter. We get shorter.
Yeah. I mean, you just have to look at your parents,
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to be like that, You can still change that, because once you start hunching over, straight away your head is in a forward position, which puts a massive amount of strain on your neck and shoulders. It changes the way your butt is positioned. Usually your butt ends up being tucked under. It compresses your diaphragm. So you can't breathe deeply. And once that diaphragm is compressed and you're not breathing, well, everything in your body is affected because you're not getting enough oxygen to all the areas of your body. It changes your posture, changes the way you walk, but you really can counteract it. And, if you think about our life, I mean, even sitting here, we're sitting looking at a computer. When you drive, you're always in a forward sort of leaning position. Even when you cook, reading a book, sitting at a desk, everything's forward. So, the way we live now is probably not going to change, but you need to keep counterbalancing that and get that spine opening up the other way, which you can do if you sequence the exercises correctly, and it's not difficult to do.
And as you're talking, I'm trying to stand up straighter. I'm actually standing. I'm at my standing
you're
desk.
Standing, are you?
Yeah, I'm standing.
Oh, right, that's good.
Yeah, see, I'm standing up.
See, good lady.
But I realise I come forward. I was actually having this conversation with with my husband the other day because he gets a lot of neck and shoulder pain, but he's in a recording studio, recording and directing all day long, you know. So yeah, he's hunched over the desk, and
Forward.
that's how you're right. We do live so much of our lives forward, yeah. So we need to
Yeah,
be standing
yeah,
back and stretching
yeah,
back, and yeah.
yeah. I mean, that part of our lives isn't going to change. We live in a, computer-based world. But if you're conscious of it, of how you're sitting and conscious of certain exercises you're doing, you can keep lengthening your spine. I actually have a couple of exercises, video demo exercises on my blog. So if anyone wants to, they can jump on there and, demo a couple of things you can do before or after your workout.
Mm. And what do you find that women are most doing wrong that you want to say, well, you need to modify that now, you need to do it differently?
I would say just doing what they've been doing for years and not being open to changing it. Because, and you're right, people don't really like change, and you think it's always worked for you for, 10, 20 years. But you've got to be open to go, that's not going to work for me anymore, and it's okay. And just change, slightly tweak what you're doing, and really look at exercising. Because, I don't know, for me in this age bracket, how I look post 50 is not up there. It's not the top of the list.
Yeah.
It might still be up there somewhere, but it's not right at the top. It's more about how I'm going to feel. And I think if, women focus on that, why are you exercising? Because sometimes if how you look is not top of the list, it can be, hard to get yourself to get on the mat or go and do some exercise. But if you think about the benefits it's going to give you as you age, and how much sweeter your life is going to be if you don't spend the next 30 to 50 years aching and sore and with, lots of joint problems, then, it's more of an incentive.
And talking of pain and joint pain, I'm conscious of it, and I'm conscious that I need to stretch every morning now. Otherwise, I am in pain initially, first thing, and then it goes off during the day.
Yeah.
But what are your top tips for women to stop that pain setting in and those niggles,
Is to, like I say, 5 to 6 days of the week, we should all be moving. And that's not to say that you have to do a hardcore workout, but you should be moving in a way that's meaningful to your body. And, a daily stretch session, I mean, I sometimes stretch longer than I train because all my workouts are 20 minutes long. But you feel like a different woman, like if you, and it doesn't have to take long, even if you do 10 minutes before your workout and 10 minutes after. But I just think it's non-negotiable in this age bracket. You've got to stretch.
I do too. I do, yeah, I really do. I get very annoyed with my mum because my mum has never had a habit of exercise. She's got to 89, which is
Wow.
pretty amazing. And I think
fabulous.
it's gardening that's done it.
Yes, my mum too.
I'm convinced it's gardening that's done it because she still gardens at 89. She has a gardener to help, she doesn't do the heavy stuff, but she is moving around and doing different things. But she's in a lot of pain. She's in a lot of pain, and she doesn't have that knee-jerk reaction that I have, that if I'm in pain, that means my body needs to move.
Yeah.
Whereas I think it's a generation thing as well, that, if she's in pain, she doesn't move because she's in pain. And yet it's the pain that's going to help. And it's like, it may be difficult to get out and do some exercise because you're really tired, but actually the exercise is going to give you energy.
Absolutely. Particularly with people with arthritis, if you've got really bad arthritis, you don't want to move generally, but the best thing you can do is exercise. Obviously within your capabilities. But my mum's the same. She's gardened all her life. She's just go, 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 go. And I think that's really served her well to a certain point. And now I'm constantly telling her, get on your yoga block, stretch, stretch, stretch. But no.
I know.
I don't have time.
My mum, she'll go and do the ironing still.
Yeah.
What's that about at 89? Who wants to iron? I've never wanted to iron. I hate ironing with a vengeance. But yeah, she won't stretch, and she doesn't remember to stretch. And
yeah. I think a lot of people find it boring. That is boring. And plus I don't have time. But I say to everyone, do a shorter workout. Stretch before, stretch after. It's so much better for your body if you do it that way than just doing your workout and then don't stretch and then go into your day. It's not going to, do you any favors in this age bracket at all. The more you can stretch and keep lengthening is your friend.
Our bodies need more care, don't they? We need to invest more time to keep them going as we want them to keep going.
Absolutely, because, God, they're keeping us alive forever now. They're talking about, the new normal's 100 and 110, which is fine if you feel good. But if you're stuck in a chair on prescription medicine, well, who wants to end up like that?
Exactly. Yeah. And it's so important, and it has to be, as you say, for me, it's a daily thing. I do it.
Yeah.
I do it almost certainly 6 days a week, if not 7. Yeah. And I do some other exercise as well. I'm my mother calls me a fanatic. I don't think I'm a fanatic. I think I'm not doing loads. I'm just doing, half an hour, 45 minutes, because I can't run at the moment.
I know.
I'm doing other things, but I can do other things. And that's actually, because I always try and think, what can I learn from this, and what is my knee trying to teach me? And my knee has slowed me down. And that's no bad thing, because I can be a bit frenetic at the best of times, and I'm doing loads of things, and the knee has forced me to slow down, and it's forced me to explore other things,
Yeah, of course. And a yoga teacher I had many years ago, she said, look at injury as a gift. It's a gift. It teaches you so much about your body. And I mean, none of us like it, but every time I've been injured and it's lasted a while, it has been a gift, because it's really taught me a lot. And it's taught me a lot about how to manage my body better and to understand other people's bodies as well.
Yes.
And, like you said, it's the consistency. The women I've known over the years who train consistently, they always get great results. So it's not always about, I've got to go to the gym for an hour, or I've got to do 45 minutes or something. It's just being consistent. Even if you really, don't have the energy or the time to do a long workout, do a 10-minute stretch sequence, It's just consistently, it's that layering effect day after day on your body that makes the difference.
And I really notice it very quickly now when I don't do it. I lose that level of flexibility and mobility, strength quite quickly if I'm not maintaining a sort of base level.
Yeah, although I do find that if you, for some reason, you do stop, when you do start again, your muscle-mind connection or your muscle memory is quite amazing. Your body will pick back up again. I know with myself, some days I can do things and I think, oh, wow, doing everything fantastic. The next day, I don't have the same flexibility, but it's okay. Every day your body's going to give you something a little bit different. Doesn't mean you're going downhill. It's just that, we have to flow with what's going on with our bodies, So, yeah, I think the consistency is definitely the key.
And I know you talk a lot about the importance of glute strength. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, well, as we, get into that sort of perimenopause, menopausal stage, naturally everyone loses that oomph in their glutes. It's just a hormonal thing. And the thing is, if you just you've got to accept it, but if you don't do anything about it, you've got to think that those glute muscles, there's three major muscles in that glute muscle group, they're there for a reason. They're there to support your hips, your pelvis, your lower back. Your knees are massively affected if your glutes aren't firing up properly. Your shoulders, your neck, everything, every part of your body. So even if it's not, about an aesthetic thing, even if you don't care if you end up with a flat butt, you don't want a flat butt. You want those muscles working. Because without them, it just causes so many flow-on effects in your body. So if I say one thing to women is work your glutes and work them in a way that they switching on and off is needed. So you don't want them so tight all the time that they're just gripping onto your joints, onto that hip joint. You want to be able to release them and then get them firing up when needed. So yeah, I would definitely say to all women, work your butt.
So what's the best way we can do that?
I've actually got a flat butt and hip strengthening sequence that uses just some tubing. So I can give you the link to that. And it's 5 minutes before your workout each day. It's brilliant. And that will start sort of firing up the right muscles of that three-part muscle group. And I also recommend that to release those muscles, you need to use a spiky ball. It's my favorite travel tool. It's a round, hard ball, sort of little rubbery spikes on it. And if you can use that on your glutes by sitting on it, on the belly of the glute and the side of the glute, it just releases that tension that can sometimes build up in those muscles. So it's like a two-phased thing.
Yeah, that totally works for me. And it was when I first started going for physio about my knee, before it went completely, because it was niggling then when I was running, and I thought I need to do something. So I went for physio and immediately identified a weakness in my glute.
I know, it's the first place I always look at your butt.
Yeah, and we don't automatically think we've got a problem with our knee. Well, actually, we've got a problem with our butt. And that is what I had. And I knew that. I kind of knew it, and I knew I've had a weakness on the right-hand side. And then I also have a tightness there because I get piriformis or sciatica or whatever you want to call it. And I never ever travel anywhere long distance without a hard ball to sit on.
I love you. Same with me. It's
what I've now discovered, the balls that I buy, it's not quite the same as what you described.
Yeah.
I've realized it's a particular type of ball that's used for that new game. And I go, what's it called? That new game out of America. So it's a little ball and it's got holes in it. So it's very light, but it's very hard.
Yeah.
I can't think of the name.
Has it got any give in it, or is it just really
no, it's hard.
Super hard. Yeah.
It's hard, but it's very light because it's just like a shell and it's got holes in it.
I've never heard of those before.
It's skittleball. No, what's it called? Kettleball. Brene Brown loves this game and I can't remember what it's called.
Oh, I've never heard of it.
Something ball. Anyway, I've discovered, not having realised that this ball that I buy is one of those kind of balls.
Have you got a handheld TENS machine?
No, but I do have a hand massager.
You should get a TENS machine. I think every woman over 50 who trains should get a handheld TENS machine.
So what is a handheld TENS machine?
When you go to the physio or chiro or whatever, they all use a TENS machine, and it's like a couple of sticky pads, and it's electronic. They call it an electronic. I can't think of the name.
Muscle stimulation.
Yeah, something like that. Honestly, it'll be one of the best things you ever buy.
Oh,
and you
really?
And if you have a pulled muscle or you've got a problem with your knee, you just put the TENS machine on. They usually run for like 15-minute segments. I lay in bed reading a book and have my tennis machine going on different parts of my body. Yeah.
Oh,
You'll be
wow.
very happy you get one, especially if you're having knee problems now. It'd be brilliant to use around your knee.
I will check that out. Definitely. Yeah, I do have a handheld. I have one of those massage guns. That's what I mean. They're good. And I have various tools
Tools.
for the fascia. You know, I have a metal
Oh, I
thing
love
that
it.
I
Yeah,
run
yeah.
over the fascia, which is really the fascia being just the skin between your muscle and your out of your skin, basically, isn't it? I think, is that right?
It's like a fine layer of connective tissue that covers your whole body.
Mm.
And yeah, I'm big on fascia release. I've just actually got a fascia blaster. And the difference from just using it, because I've had a problem with achy hands and feet for quite a few years, and I've started really religiously using my fascia blaster. I'm like, oh God, why wasn't I doing this years ago? So,
There's so
sometimes
much that we don't know, isn't there?
I know, I
There's so much we
know.
don't know. Another podcast guest introduced me to the idea of fascia, and I never knew anything about it before. And yet, yeah, releasing it is really important, isn't it?
I mean, just from, exercising, under exercising, drinking, overeating, all sorts of stress, your fascia gets tighter. And when it's tighter, it starts to pull on your joints. So, yeah, I think it's not spoken about enough, really. But once you start releasing it, well, you can really feel a difference in your body.
Mm.
So, yeah.
Mm.
I'm glad to see you've got a toolkit too.
I have, yeah. I like tools and things, and yeah.
Yeah,
'Cause I'm
because you really
curious,
can.
you know.
Yeah. Yeah, and you don't have to. I mean, it's essential to have some good therapists around you, but you don't have to run to them every time. Sometimes you can just heal yourself, really, can't you?
Mm. Oh yeah, yeah. And YouTube is great.
Oh yeah, yeah. Especially for trying things. Like not everything's going to work for everyone. So, yeah.
So I
Pick up a
don't
lot of
know,
stuff.
but I suspect that I may have done damage to my meniscus in my knee. So of
Yeah,
course I go onto YouTube and I search meniscus, and I found all these great videos, you know, for what to do if you've got a meniscus tear. So that's what I'm doing, you know, and it seems it's a lot better than it was, but
yeah.
still don't know whether it really is that or not.
I know, but sometimes that can be a danger, especially if you start Googling
Yes,
your illness. I'm like, oh my God. I
Dr.
had this
Google.
achy hands and feet thing happening, and I Googled it a while ago, and I thought, oh my God, I've got peripheral neuropathy. I'm going to be a type 2 diabetic.
Oh,
It wasn't anything like that at all. But
yeah.
you start going off on this tangent of what it could be. So, yeah, it's
Oh well,
good.
within reason.
Yeah,
Google
within reason.
and YouTube within reason.
Within, yeah.
So I know meditation is also important to you. So why is that? And you're in the perfect place for it, I would imagine.
Yes, yeah, definitely. Well, it's not just about changing your body. It's not just about exercising. That's a very small part of it. It's a whole holistic picture. So, if you're, training hard and doing all these things right, but you're stressed to the max and, you're looking at life through a bit of a lens, that's not going to help you. So you've got to look at it as the whole picture. And, anything we can do to stop thinking, I think is important. Because if you think about what you think about, it's just like a movie in your mind, isn't it? A movie of what might happen in the future, what might happen 5 minutes, 5 years ago. It's not productive, most of our thought patterns, are they? And, a lot of the time they're very negative. So I think whatever you can do to just stop, even during the day, to stop for a few moments, take a few deep, long breaths and just calm your mind. I mean, it's not easy. It's not easy at all, is it?
No.
So, no. But, yeah, I think meditating should be part of everyone's life. And a lot of people don't like it because, obviously you have to stop thinking. But, even if it's something you just do for, a few seconds, just to stop during the day and take 3 deep, long breaths. As soon as you start focusing on your breath, it's like a form of meditation because you're not thinking about anything else. You're just thinking about the breath going in and out of your body. So, yeah, I encourage all women to do some form of meditation that suits, your lifestyle.
Yeah, I'm a big fan too, and I don't do it enough, and I know that I benefit greatly when I do it. And I always find it interesting when people say, "Oh, I can't meditate, that's too difficult." And I feel like saying, that's the point.
Yeah. But
It's
you do
supposed
feel
to be difficult. It's like, I can't stop thinking. Well, that's the point.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's,
but
trying. It's at least, it's just trying. You don't have to go from 0 to not thinking. That's the whole point of it.
I mean, we're probably never going to stop thinking, but it's letting those thoughts go. Like, it's like you can start thinking about something and then you go off on this tangent and next minute there's a massive movie going on over here. whereas if you go, okay, I'm going to just let that thought go and come back to what I'm doing now. Yeah. And, it's tough. It's a lifelong process unless you're some sort of Zen guru. But, we're not. Most of us aren't. But I do think like you train your body, you should always be training your mind,
So as we wind up, what are the very favourite tips that you would like to leave behind? What would you most like my audience to know?
Don't give up. Don't give up. Just because weird, crazy things are happening to your body, it doesn't mean you can't still be fit, strong, and healthy in this age bracket. And stop dreaming of the you of the past. It's gone. You're not going to get it back. It's history. You don't have to look like that or be like that or whatever. Just, work on your body so it's the strongest and healthiest that it can be for where you are now. It's that comparing with the past or comparing with other people that sort of undoes a lot of people, I think.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Magnificent Midlife podcast. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe, follow, and share it. Also, giving a 5-star review really helps get the word out. You'll find the show notes at magnificentmidlife.com. That's also where you can get my book, Magnificent Midlife, Transform Your Middle Years, Menopause, and Beyond. Make the very best of your next chapter. Help me change the world, one magnificent midlife woman at a time.